Sometimes God calls you to leave everything that's good for something unknown. We had a thriving gym, a beautiful community, we had family nearby, and yet God was clearly calling us to a town we'd never been to a state we said that we'd never live in. And this episode is about the move that made no sense until it made all the difference.
Yes, welcome to episode 4. You were created to live abundantly and multiply in every area of your life. But let's be honest, the road isn't always easy.
We know that firsthand. We've been through highs and lows, from losing everything to now managing an investment fund, and we're still on the journey.
This podcast isn't about having it all figured out. It's about real stories, kingdom principles, and trusting God with what's already in your hands.
On Mandate to Multiply, we go deep into faith, family, finances, and other topics, sharing what we've learned and what we're still learning as we walk it out with Jesus.
If you're ready to think bigger, live boldly, and multiply what matters most,
then you're in the right place. We're Jonathan and Melissa Edmiston, and this is Mandate to Multiply.
All right, so today we're going to talk to you about the move. The move that I could have never imagined would happen. So Jonathan interviews with, again, let's recap. We were living in the Keys. We owned a gym. We wanted a home really badly. Ended up finding a home in North Carolina where your sister lived. Got an incredible deal on it. It needed to be completely finished. It was a shell of a home on 5.5 acres with a 1,200 square foot workshop on the property. That was like a little house with a garage. But again, empty, destroyed, disgusting, fully grown, trees, grass, 6 feet high. Made no sense except for the fact that we got it. It was ours. It was our home.
And we were trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Do we flip it and make some money off of it? Do we possibly move into it? We don't know. But what we did know is I had my real estate license in Florida for many years before. And if we were going to sell it, I wanted to be able to handle the transaction. So I went about getting my North Carolina real estate license at the time and went about trying to find a company to hang my license with. So I made a few phone calls and I got a call back from a company and they said, yes, you can hang your license with us, but first we want you to talk to the regional vice president who happens to live in Tampa, Florida. Well, again, we're living in the Keys at the time. So he drives down to meet me in person. And then about 2 weeks later, I'm on an airplane out to Orange County, California to meet with the senior executive team. And not too much longer after that, I have an offer in my inbox to be the area vice president, managing director for North and South Carolina for a nationwide real estate brokerage.
That was wild in and of itself. It was another one of those stories where it just makes no sense. We didn't see it coming at all, but we just took the next step in faith and just see what doors God would open. And from that call, what was really wild is on paper, it didn't make any sense for them to be offering Jonathan a job.
Yeah.
Although he had run his own business, he had multiple properties and tenants and had his real estate license, had bought and sold real estate for himself. You didn't have on paper the experience per se to run a team, manage agents, recruit, grow, right? Like it didn't make sense based on your experience on paper.
Right. I had never done a job like that in my life.
Right.
I had plenty of real estate experience. We had built things, we had run things, but never at that capacity.
And this is where, favor and just being aligned with what God is doing is so important, because there's so many times where you might come across something and your immediate reaction is, I can't do that. I'm not qualified for that. They'll never hire me. That'll never work out. But it's like, we really have to make sure, I know for us, it's been like, well, let's just see what God does, because if it's something he wants us to do, then somehow he will make it happen. Right. And that's exactly what he did in this situation, is he somehow, I know how, you're a rock star, you're amazing, and you're highly capable and efficient and really good at everything that you do. But this lady that was the CEO of this company, she didn't know that. So when he says they flew him out, what they did was they said, all right, well, let's see what you have by flying you out to this meeting of all the people in the country that have the job that you were now applying for, right? That you didn't even try to apply for.
Yeah.
So she's like, flew him out. And it was one of those things where I think she was just like thinking, it's not going to work.
Yeah, she told the regional vice president that he was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
She's like, this guy, look at his resume. It doesn't match what we're hiring for.
Yeah.
But she trusted him, and she said, well, let's just see. And again, I don't think that is by accident or coincidence. I think that's a principle, biblical principle of the kingdom of God. It's favor. And it's, if you're the one for the job, he'll tell them. Yeah. He'll put it on their heart. He'll show them.
Even if they're not believers.
Even if they're not believers. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And that's what happened. So he flies out there, and I'll never forget what she said to you, or what she said to the manager that originally interviewed you.
Yeah.
She said, I think you're crazy, but he's a rock star.
Yeah.
And we'll hire him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he is. He is a rock star. I know it. And 300 job applications that didn't know it and didn't see it. And all that time where we tried and we prayed and we did all the things and every door was closed. It was like, finally a door is open. And it's like a really great door. Yeah. Except
it's in North Carolina.
I'm like, Lord, why? Why couldn't you open that door in Florida? But he didn't. He opened the door in North Carolina. And now it was another one of those obedient decisions. Yeah. It was go time, decision time, act fast, move fast. Because it can seem like for a long time, God's not moving, God's not listening, God's not answering your prayers. But be ready. Like, that's a season of preparation for us. Because in that season of waiting, that's our time to prepare. Because when he moves fast. And you have to be ready to go. And in that moment, we couldn't be like, but wait, but what about this? And what about that? It was like, okay, he's opening a door. And that meant, what did we have to do? What did you have to do in that moment to actually step into being able to accept that position?
Yeah, well, first we had to put our yes on the table.
Yeah.
And we had to accept it.
Yeah.
And that meant I had to fly back and forth to complete some post-licensing classes that I had to complete before I could officially accept the position. So here I was flying back and forth, because this is before the days of Zoom that they offered things and in webinars. It had to be done in person.
Yeah.
So I was flying back and forth in order to complete all of these post-licensing classes so that I could officially accept the position. You were staying home with our 2 babies at the time, which were like 2 years old and newborn.
Yeah.
And started packing up everything in our home. And then we had the difficult task of telling everybody.
Yeah. We had to announce it to the gym. I'll never forget. We sat on our bed and, we did a video and we sent out the video to all of our members and coaches. It was really hard to get everybody in one place at the same time. But we wanted everybody to find out at the same time. And side note, how you do things in every season matters. How you enter a season matters. How you exit a season matters. So while nobody really liked our decision, I know there were a lot of members who were upset with us, hurt by us. And when people get hurt, they get angry. Yeah. So it was evident that they were not happy with us. Family was not happy with us. But we did it the right way, in the sense that the best way we knew how to do it then. I think that goes in levels. I think we've learned even through the years how to really be intentional about doing things and how to go above and beyond to leave places or exit seasons well. But we did as best as we can. We sent everybody a video. We let them know. We let our family know. And we let our pastors and church know. Yeah. It was not easy. I'll never forget. I wish we still had that calendar, and we may, but we printed a calendar and we had to write on it all the days and weekends that Jonathan was going to be gone, because it was 2 months? Yeah. It was 2 months where he was just flying back and forth every week. Still helping me with the gym. We had a 1-year-old and a newborn. Our family lived an hour away. And then once people found out we were leaving, we didn't have as much support, unfortunately, as we needed. But we did it. I still don't know how. I really don't know how we did it, but I know that God gave us the grace because it was him. And you were flying back and forth between taking the classes, getting the certifications that you needed, and working on the house. You were starting to kind of do what you could do while you were there to build our home and make a move from Key Largo to Cedar Grove, North Carolina.
Yeah. So it was definitely a season of growth.
Yeah.
Right? We finally packed up everything. You flew up with the boys.
Yeah.
I drove everything up. I had to make 2 trips because we had 2 cars. So I drove 1 car up, flew back, got the other car and drove that up, which was interesting because, we kind of sold everything and just left a lot of things except personal items.
Sold or gave away
mostly
everything.
Yeah.
Some things we didn't mean to give away.
Yeah.
Like I left something like my dad's tennis stuff and my dad's like, hey, where's my tennis bag? I'm like, oh shoot, I might have left that.
We didn't have room for it in the car.
But I didn't mean to leave that. But it was like, we were just in such a mode of like, all right, again, God opened the door, God's moving, we're going.
Yeah.
And it meant fast and it meant, packing everything up.
Yeah, because we had to get there to start the job and start work on the house and everything.
You had a start date. I think it was October 10th. I remember, or October 15th, but it was like a definite date. Now remember, he's taking a job that, is big corporate company, like they're giving him a lot, but they're expecting a lot in return. Yeah. And so he had to be there by a certain date, which meant we had to pack up our life. And I can still remember, again, those core moments and core memories you have in your head of seasons. I remember being in our kitchen with boxes everywhere. And again, we have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they're all over. They're in the boxes, on top of the boxes, under the boxes, taking stuff out of the boxes that are supposed to go in the boxes. And I'm just like, I don't even know how we're doing this right now. This is so hard. Nobody was there to help us.
Yeah. Because a lot of people got upset with us for our decision.
Yeah.
Which is a principle that I think we really need to take a couple minutes to talk about, because when you're following the Lord and you're stepping out in faith and you're making big, bold decisions, a lot of times people, especially if they're not believers and don't have the same faith that you have, they're not going to agree with you.
Yeah.
And they can even come against you in a lot of the things and tell you you're crazy and tell you you're wrong and all the things that we were told.
Yeah.
But we really felt the Lord was in this, and the most important thing is that we were unified together, and we always place what the Lord says above anything else.
Always. Yeah, that's really important, because I think that lesson has carried into every single time we've taken a leap of faith. Yeah. Every single time we've done something in obedience. There hasn't been a time, and it just gets bigger and it just gets, for lack of a better word, worse, where there's more naysayers, there's more intensity in people's reactions. The difference is, I think, as you grow in that, one, maybe less people will come at you because you've gotten to a point where they know that you're not going to care. You're going to do it anyways. Now, there's a difference between seeking wise counsel and listening to the naysayers and people that don't support you. Because I do believe, and I think in the past, we didn't always do this well because we didn't always know who to go to. Yeah. But for a lot of things, we did seek wise counsel. Like before we got married, our pastors were incredible in that season in guiding us and helping us through that. But when it came to doing like really risky things that sounded dumb and crazy, like moving, taking that job, like all the things, we were almost afraid sometimes to go to wise counsel because we knew what most people would tell us. Like, don't do it. That's too big. That's too scary. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. You have no money. We would be getting all that kind of feedback because they were right. But we really leaned into listening to God in that season and what is he telling us to do? What is he showing us? What doors is he opening? Where is there peace? Where is there not peace? And so I think that it's just really important to remember, and this is for people who are big dreamers, big risk takers, really want the fullness of what is for you. I love John 10:10, where he's like, I came so you could have life and life to the fullest or abundant. There's different versions say different things, but it's like the enemy came to steal, kill, and destroy, right? He wants to kill our peace, destroy our families, kill our vision, kill our dreams. He wants to take us out and he wants us to play small and stay small and just be quiet. Like that is what the enemy wants from us. But then Jesus said, but I came. Like the reason that he died, the reason wasn't just so that we can go to heaven. Everyone says like Jesus came to forgive our sins. He died so we can go to heaven. Yes, but also he went through what he went through so that we could live life on earth as it is in heaven, so that we could live fully alive. He literally says, fully alive, so that we could live in abundance. And that's not the prosperity gospel. That is not telling you that you have to be a millionaire. That is just saying that it's okay and you have full permission to step fully into everything that God has for you. That means that you can dream big. You can think big. You can pray and believe God to do miracles in your life and take you to levels and places and things that you never even imagined. Why? 1, because he's after your heart. 2, because he died for it. And 3, because you're called to do it for the sake of multiplication, for the sake of how you can give back, what that does for other people. If we didn't have the story that we have here right now, we wouldn't be able to speak into your life, activate your dreams, call you higher, remind you of your purpose, remind you that it's okay to have vision. So all of those things, like, there are just people that they don't like that. It makes them uncomfortable when I talk like this, when we talk like this. Yeah. So you're always going to have people that will tell you, that's crazy, don't do that. And this is kind of a formula that we have over the years really acquired and live by, is unless the person has a life that you want, you shouldn't be listening to them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't take advice from them. You shouldn't do what they're doing. And unfortunately, those are the people that want to give the advice the most, right? So just really lean into, what is God saying? What is God calling you to step into? And be okay with most people thinking you're crazy, telling you you're crazy, and not supporting what you're doing. That usually means you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to our story. It's October of 2016, and we move into a tiny little 2-bedroom apartment in Hillsborough, North Carolina, because our house was still a construction zone. I was working full time, and we had a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that season can have its own episode, because it was really hard. I think we're gonna do an episode just on transition and change and even moving. Yeah. Because I think it's something that's not talked about enough. You're like, oh, how fun, you're moving. But uprooting your whole life from a place you grew up in with small children, where everything around you is new, your grocery store, your gas station, your home, your jobs, people, like everything, and then culture. That's a really big deal when you grow up in Miami, Florida, and you move to Cedar Grove, North Carolina, where your UPS man shows up and goes, what you doing here from Miami? He's like, what'd you do? Look at a map, close your eyes, and put your finger and say, that's where I'm moving? Like, yeah, it kind of feels like that. So it really wrecks you. Like, it messed with me. And I have so much that I learned in that season. And I'll be really honest, I say this now all the time. I didn't do that season very well. I did not do it. I give myself lots of grace and I forgive myself, but I did not do it in the best way, in the sense that I was not prioritizing anything for myself. I was literally living on fumes with a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old in a new city. I remember and then Jonathan working a lot, because he was either working on his job or working on the house. And so I felt oftentimes like a single mom in a new place all by myself. No friends, no family of my own. Thank God for your sister at the time, and having them was really helpful, but it's not the same as having your side of the family. Yeah. And I remember just driving around for the kids to nap, walking outside in this apartment complex, because that's all you could do when you have 2 little boys, is you just have to be outside all day, all night, rain, shine, snow, cold, heat, doesn't matter. And it was really a great season and a very dark season at the same time. Yeah. I was often very frustrated, very resentful, very mad and angry. Mm-hmm. And so unfortunately, I could speak now from experience and from a place of, I know what that season is like, I know what moving is like, and I know how to do it wrong because I did it wrong. And I also, on the other side of that, in another move that you'll hear about, I did it way better. And I just know the difference. It's ultimately rooted in identity, and knowing that our identity is in Jesus, no matter where we are or what we're doing. And that isn't really proven until it's tested. Yeah. And so you have to remember, I went from gym owner, I was seeing people all day long, with people all day long, had built this beautiful community. People needed me, adults needed me. I got to talk to adults all day long, help them, laugh with them, work out with them. I was super fit. It was like glory days for me, okay, at the time. And almost overnight, I went from that to being in middle of nowhere, North Carolina. The only people that needed me were Tiny or my husband, but he was still like head down doing his thing. And it was just really humbling and really, really, really hard. But again, I learned so much, and it took me to a whole other level of reliance on Jesus and trust in him, and really reminded me of what identity rooted in the right person should look like and why it's so important.
So we were in that tiny little apartment for 9 months, and then we completed the house enough for us to move into in July 2017.
Yeah.
I was rocking the job. I had taken an office that was losing money and declining, and turned it around to where it was making money and growing. And in that time,
Hold on. That's another, like as I've put together these notes and as we've talked about them, it was another reminder of yet another thing that you took from zero to like zero to hero. You know, you took it from zero to what? How many agents in both states? More than you started.
Yeah.
Like you multiplied.
Yeah.
You multiplied that region, that territory of agents. You infused the culture. You know, culture is so important. When I look back at everything that we've built, the things that we've done, culture is like a really big part of it. Like I don't want to build anything unless it has healthy, strong, thriving culture. And you did it. You were crushing it.
Yeah.
Making great money. We had comfort and security.
Yeah.
The two things that we just long for so much. We had comfort and security. And to this day, so many people live their lives for those two things.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault, right? Because they're like, I have comfort and security. That's the goal. That's what I need. That's the mission. And we quickly realized that for us, our calling is not comfort and security. We are called to risk and stepping out in faith.
And that's when God began to stir us yet again.
Yeah.
And we knew that some changes had taken place in the company. They had started bringing in people and making changes at the executive level. And we saw the writing on the wall. Even though my office was doing great, the territories that I was running were doing amazing. The company as a whole were going in a different direction. And in October of 2018, we stepped away from the comfort and security and salary and bonuses and benefits and everything else. And we launched our own real estate brokerage with just the two of us.
Did anyone in that season think we were crazy?
Everybody. Everybody thought we were crazy.
Everybody was like, what are you doing? You're nuts. We tell the story to this day and they're like, what? You walked away from a six-figure salary and benefits and you didn't know what was next? Like, it was like, it's so wild. But yet for us, we're like, isn't that the way it always is? Like, that's all we've ever done, you know? It's, again, just stepping out in faith because, once again, God was opening a door. He was taking us step by step. We knew it was him. We didn't just, although it seemed like we were wild westing it, like we were walking with him, and that sometimes means you don't know what the next step is, but you know he's right next to you. And so whatever the next step is, he's going to guide you. Yeah. And it seemed crazy because we had a 2-year-old, a 1-year, no. We had a 3-year-old.
A 2-year-old and a newborn.
No.
Yeah. We had 3 under 4.
We had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn.
Yeah.
And a home to pay for.
Yeah.
That we had just built. Beautiful, dream home. I mean, everything about that home was gorgeous and amazing. And not very much in savings yet, you know? And we just knew God was calling us to lay it all down. And he was really speaking to us and reminding us like about our vision for entrepreneurship, for always being in control. Well, he's in control, but having choices in our time and in our finances and in our resources and in being able to never miss anything of our children's and just really all the reasons and desires that we wanted to have our own business, own our own thing. So he reminded us of that. And again, it made no sense. We're like, no agents yet. You know, everyone kind of tells you, you got to have people that are coming with you first. And while that is wisdom a lot of times, just not what God was calling us to. It just looked different for us.
Yeah.
What it looked like for us was burn the ships.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much been our entire faith walk with him. He's always asked us to burn the ships before stepping in to the next thing. And he's never left us or forsaken us.
Yeah.
And he's always multiplied what he's given us.
And we stepped out in obedience. And in 3 short years, God blessed us with a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, but his favor was upon it. And we ended up with 5 offices in 2 states and over 125 agents.
That's wild. I just have to say, again, this is not a God will bless it and make it happen and you just sit there and do nothing. While there is something to working from a posture of rest in your heart, knowing that it's him that does it and it's, we don't have to strive, we don't hustle, we don't stay up all night fretting about how it's going to happen, but we work hard. Yeah. And while I was raising little boys mostly, my name was on the door and I was the broker in charge, but I was really not building with him other than in prayer and in conversations behind the scenes. But you were, like boots on the ground, bootstrapping, just going. You were meeting with agents every day. You were on calls every day. You were at every networking event anywhere near us.
And I'm not a networker.
No. He is more of the introvert and I am definitely the extrovert. But he was doing it. He was doing the things he didn't love to build what God had put in our hands. Yeah. And we were both sacrificing, right? Because I was with the kids at all those things that he was doing. I was with the boys by myself a lot so that we can build that. And started at 2 agents and built it. And it has been, still have HomeSmart Expert Realty to this day. Yeah. And it has been a wild and beautiful journey. Something that, again, God has blessed, and we've had incredible agents that we've had the opportunity to serve. But it was one of those things that started with a bold step of faith and a leap of faith that really involved a lot of risk. And we had friends telling us, like, you're crazy. Why are you leaving what you have? You're so comfortable. And I remember as soon as we made the decision, I sent out a text to all my friends because we had a village. Like, that town and that season, it was years, 6 years, I believe we lived there. Mm-hmm. And it was so beautiful because we had a village. We had people who we were best friends with. They were like family. They were a village. Our kids grew up together. Our kids knew each other since they were 1 and 2 years old. And I remember sending them a text message and saying, please don't invite us out. Please don't invite us on date nights. Don't tell us about vacations. Don't send me pictures or links for clothes or shoes or we are in a season, we're like back to square one, and it was almost felt like being pulled back. And I think every season that God has catapulted us in, he has to pull us back first. Yeah. And then he launches us out. And that's really what that felt like. It felt like we're going back to square one, but with the vision and the faith of where he's taking us. Yeah.
And little did we know the next journey that God was going to send us on and take us on with him. But I think that's a story for the next episode.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it right there and tell you guys next about, we really want to catch you up, right? To where we are today. Of course, there's so many stories in between all that we'll touch on in later episodes, but we do want to kind of catch you up to how did we get to this place of having an investment fund and a real estate firm and living at the beach? How did we get here? Because again, we want to take you on the journey. We want to talk to you about living a life of multiplying everything that God puts in your hand, not just adding, not just for the sake of what he's doing for you, but what that means for the people around you and the world around you and how you can multiply everything in your life. We want to take you on that journey with us as we build, right? As the fund grows, as we keep stepping into things that God is doing. We're in a season even right now where we don't know where we're going to move next. Our house is on the market and we're kind of in this waiting period yet again. Yeah. So we want to bring you into that. But again, we just really felt like it was important to let you know how we got here and tell you some stories leading up. And then once we kind of catch you up, we're going to share with you more specific things, more talks about finances and multiplication and family and marriage and all the things. So stay tuned for the next episode. Don't forget, if you love this episode, to please subscribe, like, comment, and share with friends and family. We are so grateful to be on this journey with you. We cannot wait to interact with you. Send us a message. Please make sure you're reaching out and communicating. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Before you go, remember, God can use anything. Even the hardest parts of your story can become seeds for multiplication.
If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or subscribe so you never miss a moment of hope and truth.
You can also follow us on Mandate to Multiply on Instagram or mandatetomultiply.com to keep growing with us.
Until next time, trust God, steward well what's in your hand,
and live a life fully multiplied.